All right, we're live and very special as always. We got Jerz joining with us on your own channel. So, Jerz, how you living this evening?
What's up? I'm happy to be back. I'm ready to get on with the Valero, even though all of our eyes are on some tournament we like to call the Masters next week. But we got a job to do. We're here every week, no
That's
matter what the
right.
tournament is. We're
hmm
gonna cover the Valero, get our best plays and thoughts. So thank you for having me. I'm very excited to get into it.
Yeah, and I always love talking golf with you, especially DFS. And I'm really excited for this week. Yeah, humble brag or just a brag. I've had some good success at Valero, and I've actually had not so much success at the Masters. So I'm like hoping maybe that trend continues and we bucket. So yeah, I'm excited for this week. But let's just talk Masters real quick because I saw you posted that you might have a play on if there was a bet that Tiger would play next week or not. I think it's like
Saw that.
115 each. Yeah. So what do you think Tiger's playing next week?
Oh, I feel like if he's in a practice, he played a practice round today. I mean, he's Tiger Woods. He's there.
Yeah.
He's going. I feel like no matter, even if he's not 100%, which he probably isn't, he's
Yeah.
gonna do his best and play at least a round and then go from there. But I saw the bets already juiced up to minus 290 now, so
Wow.
it got like a lot of action, and you had to be in Nevada to place it. So obviously didn't get any handle on that or any action on that, but
Right.
that'd have been
Well, yeah,
awesome.
and I was like confident as well because I think it was Colt Nose who kind of put out something, but I was like, man, he's got Joe LaCava coming down. Like, you don't bring your caddy unless you're
Right.
really serious about playing. But I was watching the Golf Channel today, and Rory was being interviewed, and he said that, gosh, he was with Tiger a few weeks ago, and he was still like in rough shape. And he's like, gosh, I can't believe he's here, but he's Tiger Woods, and so Rory, he didn't like flat out say it, but he was kind of insinuating that, hey, if Tiger plays, it's he's going to be pretty surprised. So we'll see. I'm hoping he is as a fan, but also then in DFS because he'll carry some ownership. But
Yeah.
um, what do you think about the guys maybe this week like Rory who are just using this tournament as a as a prep for next week, and does that hurt their chances, or what are you buying into that narrative at
Well,
all?
I, I up until what a year and a half ago, the November Masters, I was like,
hmm
yes, that is the case. And then what Dustin Johnson did at the, I think it was the Houston Open, when because the schedule was weird a few years ago,
Yeah,
he was playing the Houston Open as like a late entry just to prep for the Masters, as he said, and he had a slow first round or whatever, then almost went out and won the damn thing, chased Carlos Ortiz down, something like that. And ever since then, I'm like, okay, guys are playing at the tournament. They're playing to win. So I'm not saying that Rory's going to win, but I feel like he's going to try and play to win this week. And I mean, the course sets up great for him. He played here once. I think he finished second or third. But
yeah.
just that Dustin Johnson thing that happened a year and a half ago, and I guess the week before the Masters, same idea in Texas. I think these guys are ready to play and all go for it.
Yeah, and that you bring up a great point about Rory kind of being a good fit here on FanShare, and we'll get that pulled up in a second. He ranked second in the whole field in course suitability ranking. Was very surprised about that. Jordan Spieth, who we know has great course history here, ranks fourth. So, like, just to put it in kind of perspective, so very surprised about that. But before we look at the board, any other kind of overall thoughts you have? The night before this thing starts.
I don't think Charlie Hoffman will do well
Yeah,
because it's the Charlie Hoffman Open. But besides that, I'm just excited for Thursday, like any other week. I love waking up to checking the leaderboard, getting the PGA notification. So and so started hole one and he's plus one or something like
yeah,
that.
it's the worst. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just excited to wake up and have golf in the morning and just get on with it. Nothing really particular about this week is making me more excited than another week.
yeah. I agree. There's nothing, to be frank, there's nothing special about this event,
Right.
and nothing really special has happened throughout the week. There's no real major as of last time I checked. Like weather, doesn't favor any sort of tee time stack. There's really nothing to be concerned about. I don't really buy in too much to guys like you shouldn't play them because they're just getting ready for the Masters. I'm not really buying into that. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's the Valero Texas Open. It is what it is. So we'll share the screen here, and then we'll kind of get cooking One thing as I pull this up, I was super surprised about, and that's how high Rory's ownership is. So I couldn't believe it. And so let me get this up. There we go. So right now it's at 26%. And so make sure we can all see it. For some reason, not. Oh, there we go. So it's at 26%. Extremely surprised. You can round it up to 27 that Rory is one of the, if not highest owned golfers in the field. Well, what do you think about that? And are you playing as Rory in your player pool?
First of all, Rory is not in my player pool, but I'm actually surprised how owned he is. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
but no, because this is the week where I heard you talking about the other night. This is the week where guys who know what they're doing and guys who care about PGA DFS are playing. It's not just randoms playing PGA DFS. Like
Yeah.
guys that know what they're doing are playing this week. So it's not like it's randoms just seeing Rory McIlroy and they're just picking him. Clearly, people like what Rory's going to do this week, but I am surprised on how high his projected ownership is as of now.
Yeah, and these ownership projections are for large field GPP contests. Rory might not be 26% in the single entries, but in maybe the large field, he's likely going to be that almost half or just over half. And you got Hideki, who I know has some injury concerns. What are you thinking about Hideki?
If he's I mean, this could just be like feel it out because we have to play next week as a defending champion. But I would say proceed with caution. He could be awesome, like an awesome leverage play if you're like way overweight on Hideki. And if he plays 4 rounds, he's that Hideki. He's one of the best players in the world. But I don't know. I feel like this is just like I know I said it's not a tune-up if you're playing, but the calls, like what he's doing right now, I feel like it is a tune-up because he has to defend next week. He's not going to withdraw from the Masters. He has to
Right. Yeah,
defend
no doubt.
and be there. So I feel like this is like, all right, we're not going to go first time at Augusta after a few weeks off. Let's get the ball rolling here in Texas and see what we're working with.
Yeah, well said. And I was trying to show, I was wondering if my lineups saved on here and they haven't, because obviously Hideki starred, he's in my player pool. I'm kind of risking it on Hideki. I'm going about 20% owned on Hideki, so very overweight on him. Again, I don't know, but if you're getting a 12%, if like Hideki is healthy and in form, he's not 12% this week. He's
Right.
like 25%. So I'm willing to risk that he's going to be all right. Jordan, I did not have start. He's not in my player pool. He's about 16% owned. We know his course history. What are you doing with Jordan?
Not touching him either. I know he makes a lot of sense. Defending champion. I guess kind of similar form as last year, maybe a little bit better form last year, but like it was shaky at this point last year. And he showed what he did at Pebble on a Jordan course. This is another Jordan course. And with him, it can click in a second. So it doesn't look pretty when we see the videos of him. But no one will be surprised if he goes out, and I think he was first round leader here last year. I could be wrong. Or he was first round leader, maybe the Byron Nelson. But just go out and just tear it up. He can just hold a bunch of putts. He's Jordan. He doesn't really need form. He can just do it at any point, but I'm just have no Jordan. I went right to the next guy.
Yeah, me too. And like side note, what do you think you might do with Jordan next week at the Masters? Is that a different story?
Too expensive. That's what I'll say. And like I know he doesn't need form at Augusta, but you're banking on the ultimate ceiling at that price because I mean I looked at the pricing yesterday, but I've been seeing the odds the past year. He's just too expensive, and I assume the pricing is indicative of the odds a little bit. I feel like you're banking on him to what T3 or like T5 or something crazy. And will he do that? Maybe he could, but just the form, I don't think it's worth the risk for the number.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Like so ideal. So ditto. And I'll just say one other thing, and he's priced between so many talented golfers that are in better form. It's just hard to get on it. But you landed on the guy next to him, Abraham Answer. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Answer?
It's a home game for Abe. He's trending well, hitting the ball great. Thing that's scary is his around the green, which when you think of Abe Answer, you don't really think of him as a a bad around the green player, I would think. But you look at his numbers recently, it's just been all red around the green. And if it's blowing, which it may be, greens are harder to hit. It's going to be firm, a little bit scary. But I love the way his tee to greens trending. And I love the way he putt last week, and he's played here 4 times. In those 4 starts, it's over 12.5 strokes gained putting. So he likes the greens. He's putted well on a similar surface as last week. And he's in Texas. There's no really signs that he won't play well. He doesn't have the best course history, but in this field, I feel like we're getting a solid price on Abe. So I started all of my lineups with Abe.
Yeah, and one thing with Abe, I've seen the around the green numbers. I would just wonder a lot of those. It's tough to score or kind of play well around the greens and scramble. And on the West Coast, POA, just how tricky it is. And he lost a lot of strokes on the West Coast. The Amex, the Genesis, he lost 3, which it's hard to lose 3 strokes around the green. He lost 3 strokes at Phoenix. And a lot can go wrong at Phoenix, just where the pin lines. But that was kind of unique. So I'm not holding too much into that. He's getting at a course that he's familiar with, a type of course likely that he grew up playing kind of in Mexico. I love Ancer. One thing I am getting concerned about, I saw that he is now the highest bet golfer this week. And there is a correlation with highest bet golfer in ownership. Everything I've read today, including my own shit, has talked about Ancer. And so this number is going to go from 14, I think, closer to 18. So I think Ancer's number is going to keep rising.
Right.
I may take a little less of them. I think I'm at like 30 or 40% of them. I have to check, but it's hard not to play him. But I think he's peaking into this week, and this is a much better course for him than it is next week.
Yep. And I always say to never even touch a public Ancer, because we have history of a public Ancer just never working out well at all, except for the Travelers Championship, which he needed a 10-foot par putt to make the weekend, ended up finishing T5. But from seeing Twitter and reading stuff this week, he's not as public as I thought he was going to be. Like on every single card, stuff like that. He's still obviously garnering some bets and ownership, but the reason I went to him was because I thought he was going to be like the guy this week, because there's those weeks that we have Abe Ancer, like, okay, first click 25-1, Abe Ancer, Abe Ancer, Abe Ancer. I didn't see that as much as I thought I was going to see on Monday, which is why I bet him.
Yeah, makes sense. And we're both on Ancer outright. He's a great outright. DFS is tricky. I mean, he's $2,400 more expensive this week than he was at the last tournament. But I mean, we got to talk, and we'll speed things up as we get down. But we got to talk about the big names. One of which Bryson. Only thing I have about Bryson, I'm not touching him this week, but I am really interested. I want to follow as many holes as I can, just if he's on the on the whatever, the ESPN Plus Thursday, Friday, as I can, because I want to scout him for the Masters. I know everyone jokes that he said, what did he say, that the Masters is like a par 68 for him?
It is.
And he hasn't played well the last few years. A lot of that I think is because he doesn't, he's so calculated that he hasn't calculated what the downhill lies or the uphill lies due to some of his approach shots. But Bryson, when he was an amateur on Saturday, was like 2 shots off the lead before heading to 18. It was something crazy like that. He's only going to dominate it more with his length. If he can just tighten the screws and get in somewhat form, the Augusta National is the perfect course for Bryson. And we haven't even sniffed its ceiling. So if he finishes top 20 this week, I'm going to hammer Bryson next week. So I just wanted to throw that. You have any insights on Bryson?
100% the same. I've been saying for the past 2 years that Bryson will win a green jacket sooner than later. He says that it's a par 67 for him. It is. It really is. He just hasn't played well. Course fits him way too well. Everything Augusta National makes sense with Bryson so much. I watched him a lot last week at the match play, because I bet him outright at the match play. He putt almost as good as I've seen him putt. Hold every 10-footer. Just was wild off the tee, and you can't really. I mean, he kind of got away with it in some spots, but this week you're not really going to get away with missing on other fairways. You're going to be in the woods this week,
Right.
so that's why I don't love him here. But at Augusta, he'll be able to spray it a little more than he would be able to this week. And if the putter's rolling, and if he can have one of those spike approach weeks, which he has every once in a while, that's why I'm saying I want to see what he does this week and see how he's feeling, because I'm not sure if it's going to be this year, but Bryson will win a green jacket.
Yeah, well, I'm on the same page with you. Well, let's kind of clump Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim, Mav McNeely, Chris Kirk, and Gary Woodland together. This is a huge range, which a lot of ownership. So who are you playing or maybe not playing between these 5 guys?
I bet Woodland and McNeely. I'm heavier with McNeely in DFS. More off of gut feeling. And I've said early in the season when I bet Mav McNeely at Fortinet, I said that Mav McNeely's first win will come in a field where he's under 50-1. He's not going to win in a amazing event where he's 100-1.
Yeah.
That's just I don't see that. And this is a spot where he's under 50-1. He's getting a lot of love. And people think I'm crazy for this take, but places that Rory McIlroy rates out well, I feel Matt McNeely always plays well in. And this is a spot where Rory rates out well. He's first in basically everyone's model, a lot of people's models. And so just that is a reason why I bet Mav and I'm playing him heavy. Also have a little bit of Woodland. He modeled out for me well. Everyone's on Woodland. I don't really have to go too deep into him. T6 here last year, I believe. He has 2 T5s in the last 4 starts. He almost won at a very firm and fast course at API. And if the wind's going to be up this week, it will be very firm and fast. Just bet him outright. I got a 40 on him, 39 or 40 on him, I believe. So, those 2 guys are who I played, but the other guys I didn't. Obviously, the Kirk ownership is ridiculous, and I know you like Siwoo a lot. Yeah,
I do like Siwoo a lot. Siwoo's had a sneaky year this year with a couple. He had back-to-back top 11s in January. He has gained strokes tee to green in 6 straight tournaments. That's surprising because I think of Siwoo as like a volatile golfer, and if he has that level of consistency, I'm like, man, he's playing pretty well. He's played well this event before. He ranks 22nd in the field in DraftKings points and 21st in tee to green. Yeah, he's sandwiched between a very highly owned Corey Connors, Mav McNeely. That's why Siwoo at 10%. This play right here, Siwoo, I know I bet him as outright because I love him too. But just as a DFS perspective, the Siwoo at 10% sandwiched between some really high-on guys like Kirk too, just screams break the slate play. Like this is the type of play that if it works out, it just like you win GPPs. Like it just has one of those feelings when you see a guy like this, undervalued, price between a bunch of highly owned guys, but maybe just as high ceiling. So I love Siwoo, but I also have that same gut feeling on Maverick McNeely. And why is it? Why do we have that gut feeling on Mav this week? We usually think of him as like a West Coast POA guy. Why this week do we think?
I don't know. It's just I feel like the course fit is good.
Yeah.
You don't need to be an amazing iron, stick everything to 10 feet and make it a putting contest. You could win this tournament with your driver and your putter. Because you hit fairways, it's going to roll out, and then you hold some putts. Like you don't have to go 25 under here. So I like this course fit for Maverick, and like I said, I like him in a field where he's priced fairly, not like a big he's not going to win like a major bomb when he's 100-1. So I'm going to stick with my gun, and same thing. It's the same thing. Same reason I liked him at Fortinet is the only other time I bet him. I bet him one other time, I think. So. And he's one of my favorite golfers. I had that gut feeling early in the week, so I'm gonna stick with it. He didn't model out for me crazy, but I like the baseline on him.
Yeah, me too. I did. He didn't model out for me well at all, but yeah, it feels kind of like a Maverick McNeely week. Chris Kirk. I mean, he'll turn out maybe the highest owned golfer in the field, and rightfully so. He has the current form. He has the course history. But he's $2,400 more expensive this week than he was at the Players. Obviously, much tougher field at the Players, but still, with his combined price with the salary, if you're rostering Kirk, you're buying him at extreme high for the type of golfer Chris Kirk is. And it could work out this week, but in long term, just like with any investment, it's hard to profit consistently if you're buying at a high. Like we want to buy
Mhm.
low, sell high. This is a high for Chris Kirk. So not that there's nothing really to hate against him. It's just the strategy of it that I don't have a start. He's not even in my player pool. It just doesn't make sense for me to almost 9,500 in that 25% owned. I just can't get behind a Chris Kirk. If you want to bet him outright, I much prefer that. But DFS, man, it's hard to buy him at that high.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I remember early in the season, I mean, not early in the season, early like this past month, I think it was Andy spoke about how year after year, Chris Kirk makes all of his money in the Florida swing. And we're just coming off of that Florida swing. People have it fresh in their mind. That's why they're playing him. I mean, yes, of course, it does make sense. The windy conditions make sense. Like it does make sense. But I think Chris Kirk lives for Florida, and I don't think he will have as good as a performance as everyone thinks he will. But
Yeah.
he may. We'll see.
So we'll kind of go down and just to maybe the whole AK range. I will say I'm surprised that Tony Finau is at 15%. I was hoping he'd be 10 and he'd be a great play. But speaking of the AK, we'll talk about one or two guys. I love Adam Hadwin. He's one of my favorite players. Went to school
Louisville.
right in our backyard. Yeah, University of Louisville. Before maybe we get into him, who are you liking maybe in the AK range?
I actually played Hadwin. I bet him
Yeah.
50-1 at 365. He modeled out for me well. Back-to-back top tens. He was top 5 in this field in the 150 to 200 range. I got, and it's just I feel like it's trending right for Hadwin, but I feel like he's just like he's kind of boring. And
Yeah, he is boring.
if the score is in like the 14 to 16 range, I feel like Hadwin could be really live. But nothing really moves the needle too much. It's just like Adam Hadwin 50-1 this field. I'll bite.
Yeah. There's
I
so much
played a
data.
lot of them though. I played a lot of them in DFS also.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too. I mean, he's one of my highest owned golfers.
Mhm.
It's hard not to play him. He has the current form. He has the course fit with just his game. Yeah, Mito's interesting. Yeah, he's 900 priced up from the players. Yeah, we understand. But 8,100, Mito's kind of played sneaky well of here late. I really am into Mito. I think this is finally the Mito week where he sniffs contention. He may not win, but I see a Mito top 10. What do you think about him, or maybe even who we should really talk about at the end of the AK range, and that's Patton Kizzire.
Yeah, Pat Kizzire is wild. Mito, I struggle getting there with Mito ever since the early part of the season. It's just what he always has. He'll hit the ball 335 plus in the middle of the fairway. No matter how far he has, he'll put everything to 35 feet, I feel like, and then just make par. Like it's just boring. And like he doesn't make enough. He'll have those runs where he'll rattle off 2, 3 in a row, but like he doesn't make enough birdies for me. And like he just like makes so many pars. Like I'll play him at next year's Farmers Insurance Open. That's the same exact my same exact take on Cameron Tringale was that he puts the ball in the fairway when he has good driver weeks, puts it to 30 feet and 2 putts. And that's exactly what he did this weekend. I mean, last Farmers Insurance got me a nice price on the top 5. So I'll play Mito at a course like that. I don't see him getting to 15 under par this week, but I don't know. He can have a spike putting week, spike iron week. I mean, the talent is there. I just can't get there with Mito.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I'm more kind of like maybe our boy John PJ Tout. I'm pot committed to Mito, so I can't fold now. I'm committed to him. Kizzire is similar to Kirk. We know what Kizzire is. He's a streaky golfer. He can make runs of missed cuts, but 17%, it's hard to buy in on general Patton Kizzire. But moving into the 7K range, there's a great GPP play, and that's right below Kizzire, and that's Rasmus Højgaard. who there's always, if there's a primarily European tour golfer or the DP World Tour golfer, that if there's no strokes gained or very limited data on a golfer, he goes severely underowned. He's,
Right.
What's he at right now? He's at 6% owned. It might even be less than that. So he won last year's European Masters, and over the last 2 years on the our DP World Tour, I always get tripped up saying that, he's a leader in driving distance and he's a leader in green regulation percentage. Then he also has, last week at Punta Cana, played Roy. He finished in solo sixth with 3 straight days of shooting 67. He had a tough, I think he shot 73 or 71 on Thursday. Gosh, if he shot just 70 or even in the 60 again, he wins.
Right.
And so he continued his strong green regulation percentage last week. He had 78% of the greens regulation. That's great. So a guy that can hit it far, hit it close on approach at very low ownership, that's unknown to a lot of people. Hogard is a great GPP play. And then another GP play that, maybe a little biased because I'm hopeful for him, but there's data to back it up. And that's Ricky Fowler at single-digit ownerships. Ricky has played so much better than his results have shown. He's actually gained strokes on approach in 4 of his last 5 tournaments. Pretty consistent. At the Arnold Palmer, he's gained 4.3 strokes tee to green, 2.5 strokes off the tee, and 3.5 strokes on approach. Like, that's pretty consistent ball striking from Ricky Fowler. What's really been his Achilles heel he's lost strokes putting in almost every single tournament.
Right.
But Ricky is back class. He's a good putter. I'm willing to bet at 8% that the ball striking stays solid and hope the putting improves with Ricky at 7,700 and 8%. Those are the 2 guys I really like. There might be one other, but really like in the 7K range. What do you think?
Yeah, in this upper 7K range, I didn't really touch anyone. I like where you're going with Hogard, however you say it.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his brother can drive the hell out of the ball. It's fun to watch. They can, and I think they're 21 years old. It's crazy. Drive the hell out of the ball, and like you said, if you can, you're leading in off the tee, you're leading in greens and regulation. That's a good formula, and especially this isn't going to be stick everything to 10 feet and roll as many putts as you can in tournament. Like, you're going to have to hit the ball this week. So that's a great combination. But I went down lower to, I think, 7,100. Kramer Hickok, 72, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kramer Hickok a lot. Texas guy.
Yeah.
He's trending. I bet him last week in Punta Cana. He had a shitty round 1. Then he had 3, like your guy, shitty round 1. Then he finished T11, 3 straight solid rounds. Like I said, Texas guy. He caddied for Jordan at this event, I think, when he was younger, when Jordan's first tournaments. What was I going to say? He popped at the Players. He was on the leaderboard for a little bit before the round 4. He was almost a first-round leader at Valspar and faded out. This is obviously like a field where he can compete in. So, and he's a great driver with the golf ball. You're in the fairway. It's going to get some run out this week. I mean, it's Kramer Hickok. You can't expect too much, but I like him a lot. I also played a little bit of Richard Bland, just based off, I saw his ownership was going to be really low, and I feel like he just golfs his ball, and he scores. He just golfs his ball and scores. Nothing special. But besides that, I was going to go to Neesmith, but I saw his ownership was fairly high for the pricing, and I didn't want to be like a public Matthew Neesmith guy because I feel like that would bite me in the butt quickly, but I bet him outright. But besides that, I kind of went – those are my main 7K guys.
Yeah, and I'll be dumb not to mention my highest owned golfer in my player pool at close to 60% of my lineups have Dylan Fratelli at 7,200 at less than 1% owned. He'll probably be 2, 3, 4, 5% actually. But Dylan Fratelli is my highest owned golfer in the field. South African, familiar playing in the wind and fast and firm. Also, University of Texas alumni. So he's got the Texas name. Yeah, and a guy that can kind of hit the shit out of the ball. He kind of changed his game along with Bryce. He doesn't get the accolades because he doesn't hit it this far, but man, he has really improved with his driving distance. But he also ranks 28th in the field in ball striking and 37th in DraftKings points at TPC San Antonio. He's only played here a few times, but those are good enough numbers at 7,200 and low ownership. But he's also in good form. He has gained strokes on approach in 4 straight, highlighted by gaining 4.2 at the Players' Championship. So I'm thinking he's going to use – and he also ranks first. I was so surprised. First in the field from this very key statistic of proximity from 75 to 100 yards on the par 5s. That's the most likely approach place they're going to come in from. And Dylan Fratelli is the best in the field. So, gosh, and Dylan Fratelli is one of those guys that never pops on anyone models, but he just like outperforms.
Right.
Maybe he's like a Richard Bland. He's not so much about his golf swing. He's just a golfer. He knows how to get around a course. Gosh, the reason he's my highest owned golfer is, there's a lot of risk with it, but that's why I love DFS is 7,200 and with being got a single digit ownership. I don't need him to win. I don't need him to be top 5. A top 10, 15, or 20 with Dylan Fratelli with other right pieces can still win me a GPP. I love him. He's my favorite play. I'm all aboard on Dylan Fratelli. But now he might be he could be just as one of those players. I open the app Thursday afternoon. I scroll immediately to the bottom to see if any of my golfers are +6 through 8, and he could be there. But
he could.
I'll hold my breath.
I like that Fratelli call, honestly, because we saw this time last year at the Dell match play, didn't have any crazy form, and he popped in the match play. Texas course, Longhorn, makes sense. And now that he has some form with the ball striking, I like that. You might sell me on Fratelli, put in a lineup or two, because I wasn't really too fond of that range. So I like where your head is at with Fratelli.
Well, I appreciate that. So let's go in the 6K range. There's a lot of interesting 6K plays this week. And I feel like a lot of people have opinions on it. Who are you liking in this range?
I like Hayden Buckley, Ben Martin, and Max McGreevy.
Yeah. So I like Hayden Buckley. Tell me about Hayden Buckley.
He played well last week. I mean, it's a 6K guy. There's not too much to like. He shot a 30 going out on Sunday, made a charge, got up to second place, then shot like a 36 on the back. But he's a really good tee to green player. He kind of struggles on the green, but if it's blowing a little bit, that will come to his advantage. And I just like his full game. But besides that, nothing really. I got him at a nice price. I put him in one lineup. But Hayden Buckley, I feel like, is a golfer who should be on more people's radars in the near future because he can really hit the ball well.
Yeah, well said. I like the Hayden call. JJ Spawn, he's popular. He's like everyone's 6K play, so you could or already heard and read about him. But a guy I've been talking about all week is a boomer bust play. He could be 8 over, or he could be in contention at 6,300 and at 1% owned. That's Hendrick Stinson, who is in terrible form. I think he missed 7 consecutive cuts, but like having the yips is not unfamiliar with Stinson. Very early in his career, he started out strong, then had a bad go of it, and he thought he might never come back. And then he came back to be one of the best golfers in the world and a major winner. But now he broke his miscut streak at the Valspar and showed some serious life at the Valspar and really played better than he finished. He should have got a top 15 with what his ball striking stats was. He gained 6.6 strokes tee to green. Like going from 7 missed cuts to 6.6 tee to green, like, okay, he found something. And then like that was his highest tee to green number since the Wells Fargo in 2019. And he also gained strokes on approach. He also gained strokes off the tee. What killed him is he lost an absurd amount of strokes putting, like a stupid. I think it was like 6 or 7. So I'm willing to say at near minimum price and at super low ownership, the type of golfer that Stinson was is really worth a look based on what he might have turned around at the Valspar. So I like Hendrick Stinson. Again, I wouldn't play him in cash. I wouldn't bet him.
Right.
But as a DFS flyer, if you need someone cheap in a GPP, I mean, he could be a guy.
Right. The other guy I mentioned, Ben Martin, kind of came out of nowhere last week in Punta Cana. Should have probably won it. He was leading for, I would say, 65 holes and then gave it away. He had a putt to make a playoff, 3-foot putt to make a playoff over Hayden Buckley. But why I like Ben Martin is because played awesome last week. He said he found something in his post-game interview, and in the Korn Ferry Tour event, he finished 10th or 11th. So coming back to a course that he knows he can perform well on, says he found something. You're giving me 300 to 1. I'll put $5 on that, and that's a no-brainer. I also played him in a little bit in DFS. I feel like he's going to be a flyer like you said. Yeah. And besides that, the stats don't really look pretty dating back this year, but he says he found something, played well last week, has shown that he played well on this course. I know it was a Korn Ferry event a few years ago in a different field, but it's just you got to find a lane and go with it. So that's what I'm going with.
And Ben Martin has some great back class of when he played. I think he played at Clemson, and then as an amateur, gosh, he was for real.
He was runner-up in the USM, I think.
Yeah, I mean he's been a good golfer, and I will maybe just say in close that because someone might see that Luke Donald is starred. I do have Luke Donald in some of my lineups just because of how stupid he popped. I couldn't believe that over the last 24 rounds, Luke Donald ranks first on approach in the field. God, I could not believe that. And I mean, if Luke Donald, there's only a few courses that Luke Donald can play well at, like maybe the RBC Heritage, and maybe here, because with the role that the fairway's going to give, he cannot hit it that far. But the former world number one gained 6.2 strokes on approach at the Valspar and finished 16th. He could back that up or even improve on it here. So maybe look out for Luke Donald.
Yeah, I mean, he modeled out weirdly well for me. Also, I was like, why does Luke Donald keep popping up? And he was popping up in different things too. I was like, I mean, I didn't touch him, but I feel like on Friday afternoon, I'm looking Luke Donald's T7. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know why. Don't know why I didn't touch him, but yeah, I like where your head's at with Luke Donald.
Well, good deal. Well, any final thoughts about the Valero before we put this to bed?
The only final thoughts that you mentioned earlier, if I had anything to think of, and you said there was no real stack wave that people are talking about. I think that the first round leader will come from someone who starts on number 10 tomorrow and plays in the morning. That is what I mean. It's a reach, and I don't bet first round leaders, but starts on number 10 and plays in the morning. I sprinkled a few first round leaders. I feel like I found might have a little advantage there. So we'll see.
I like that. And so why 10? Is there this number 10? Is that a par 5?
I'm not sure if it's a par 5, but the back 9 played a little bit easier than the front 9.
Gotcha.
So, and there was a 2 or 3 hole stretch that had you can get 2 in a row. And I feel like if you start off strong, that's good for your mental. And you're starting off with the easier side, it's going to help you have a better round. And the PM, I think, is supposed to blow a little more than the AM. So, I mean, I'm not stacking all my lineups or my whole card with it. I just sprinkled a few first round leaders, start on 10 and play in the AM wave. So that's what I
like that. Yeah, I might have to follow that. I might have to tail that. Because the one other thing I noticed, I think it's on Friday, where the wind is pretty even all day, that I might play a lot of showdown with golfers starting on 10 in the afternoon. Because one thing in the afternoon, it's like Texas. So the morning, it's going to be 20 degrees cooler in the morning than it is in the afternoon. So the ball's going to go farther. But if it's going to be equal amount as wind, then I might lean on the afternoon guys starting on 10 on Friday. I like what you're talking about for Thursday because, I think it is going to get windier in the afternoon. But Friday, it might be a push with the wind. So I might take that up in showdown. We'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see how it works out. And we could be on something.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, JerzWay, appreciate your time. Good luck this weekend. And for everyone that listened, good luck to you all. One more week till the Masters. It's kind of like the week before Christmas, so we're excited. So, Jerz, I appreciate you, man.
Yep, thank you very much.